You know, Alistair Cook, the English commentator, said that Grafton, Vermont, Newfane, Vermont, and Newcastle, Delaware were the three prettiest towns in the United States. So Marion and I went up to see those, but I don't think they can hold a candle to Newcastle with our cobblestone streets and the oldest courthouse in the United States. And Delaware Street was the busiest street in the United States, and being a port of entry, and the houses are not particularly restored like Williamsburg, and just been kept up in good shape, and what a tourist attraction it is.
When I first came here, I lived with my aunt and uncle in Wilmington, and then I moved here over the Gilpin house, over the store. Malcolm Byard's brother and his wife ran a boarding house there, and I stayed there for a little over a year. And then I moved in with Fred Gallagher and his mother, who lived on 5th Street, and I stayed there until I was married, my first marriage. And then we moved it over to Wilmington back there, and then we moved to Newcastle when we got an apartment here. And we had a couple of places we lived in apartments. One is where the antique shop just moved out of. We lived there, and lived across the street at Mitchell's apartment. We lived there twice, and then we bought the house next door, 419 Delaware, where Joe Eshelman lives. That was a beautiful home, 5 bedrooms, and Bob Nye, you know Bob Nye? He lived with us when he first came to Newcastle. Our 3rd floor had 2 bedrooms, and we rented those. That was a nice house. It was so different. I have a picture of the American store on the inside, and of course the prices were a lot different too. The little picture I have has Luella butter, 2 pounds for 55 cents, and bacon 10 cents a pound, and pork chops for about 10 cents. But at that time, hogs were only 3 cents. Anybody that was raising hogs, they got 3 cents a pound for, and that's, of course, was the cause of the Depression. That's what the whole thing was, just pennies instead of dollars as we have it today. I don't think we had anything over 25 cents in the whole store. You would go up to the counter, and someone would come and ask you if they could help you, and you'd tell them what they wanted, and they would get it off the shelf and bring it to the counter. Like a lot of people went to the store 3 times a day. I'll give you an example. Mrs. Keenan, who lived in Dalby's Alley, she had 16 children, and she came, and what refrigeration you had was very small, and it was ice, so you couldn't keep anything very long. So the women would come to the store 3 times a day, get food for breakfast and lunch and dinner. And they would wait on them in the grocery department, and we had a produce department and the meat department, which I was part of. It was a beautiful meat department, all oak. Everything in it was oak. The counters and the back part was oak with marble on top of that. And then we had a cashier that sat up front in a little cage like. That was Adele Bodden, who is still living. But that was the time of that kind of food business. We didn't have a cash register. We had a drawer that was under the counter we pulled out, and added everything up on a bag, marked it down on a paper bag, and added up. That's one thing I can do well, add figures quickly and correctly, simply by you had to do it all the time, and you gave a piece of paper to the people, and they went to the cashier and paid that bill.
And of course the doctors, I mean, you could run through the doctors that have been around. The one I never knew was Dr. Black, was on the Strand. I think he lived in Harsty Kine's house, or right there somewhere. Dr. Black, he's a well-known doctor from way back, but I never knew him. And of course, Dr. Dodd, let's see, Dr. Dodd, he lived right here on Dollar Street. I knew him. And then Dr. Reynolds, right here at the corner, you know where he lived? Dr. Reynolds? Yeah, he was here. And then McGuire, there was some other doctors, I think just temporarily, there was one in the Kenzie John Senior house, that extension back there was a doctor in there. While McGuire was away, I went there. I had a touch of the flu when I went there. He says, "You go home and get in bed." He says, "People got like you be dead in 24 hours. He gave me some medicine. I forget his name. He was there for a short time, I think. But in the Kenzie John house itself was Dr. Booker. You've heard of Dr. Booker? Well, he was a well-known doctor here. He probably, some people, he hurt their feelings, but he's the one that did away with the wells on the street. He fought them until he got them all filled in, done away with. There were wells all over town, and the well was right out by the gutter. It was pumped there in front of Platt's store. There was one down on Chestnut Street. We got a picture of that. It was right just down the street a little ways was a well there. They had wells all around. They buy one water, they were right there on the street, they helped themselves. Of course, all the bath water went down the gutter and soak in, it would go right down the well. And he was the one that saw to it that the wells were finally all done away with. I remember before we had it in the house on the Strand, the 26th Strand, but I guess it was in Newcastle when we got here, but there was no electricity in the house in 1921. The Strand, 26th Strand, was not wired. There was no electricity in it. And my father had a meter put in and a socket put there in the hall. And we run extension cords around. Sounds simple, but we did. We run extension cords around. We never had any trouble with them. They taped them up, hung them. Had light there in the front room and around the house. And then we bought an electric refrigerator, and the man that installed the refrigerator, he run a line out to the refrigerator. But there wasn't any other wiring in there. In 21, there was no wiring, it was gas. We had the gas lights, had the Wellsbach mantle you put on. Of course, they break, you put on new ones. And the church, I showed you the gas light they had on the sides of the church were these gas lights with had several things, several jets to it. See, there's pictures in there. But Mr. Live, I think, wired the Baptist church for electricity. They took these gas lights down. But originally, on each side of the church, there was 2 or 3 of these with several, I guess about 4 maybe, jets. Well, then somebody put corks in all but 2 of them, and then put a Wellsbach mantle on them. We got just as much light out of 2 we would with 4, say, or whatever it was. I don't know, maybe just 1, I don't know. Anyway, they put the Wellsbach, plug these up with corks.